It's Erica here from Me Too Paper Crafts. Welcome to Thursday night's Case the Catty. Every week at 8 p.m. on Thursday night, I come live. I love to browse the catalog during the week and decide what fun thing project in the catalog I'm going to reproduce for you, giving you the measurements where I figure them out. And as long as I have that bundle of stamps and dies, or stamps and punch and designer series paper and the colors of cardstock, then I can recreate it. Now, that's not to say that I can't change it up a little bit, which is what casing is all about. It means copy and share everything. So if you see a design in one of our catalogs or online, you are welcome to change the color, change the layout, say from a portrait to a landscape card, or do whatever you want. The idea behind the catalog is to show you designs that their team of designers at Stampin Up create for you, just to, as a start off jumping off point. If you've never crafted before, you have no idea of how to put together a card, the whole architecture of a card, then it gives you some ideas. And then you can look through the catalog and pick a design from one page and apply it to another page with different colors or different stamp set. So that's what's fun about it. It allows you to be creative. Copy first. If you're new, just copy first, do exactly what you see there. And over time, you will learn about color coordination and just different ways of doing things. And by watching me, I can kind of gear you in the right direction to become a great little designer yourself. So without further ado, I'm going to change my camera view to my desktop. I'm going to show you the page that I'm working on in our current catalog, one of our current catalogs, January to April. It's our Spring Mini, and show you the bundle and show you the card that we're going to be making. We're going to be doing some, oh my gosh, what's it called? I just lost the word, not sponge. Yeah, we're going to be doing a bit of sponging, but it's mostly doing, oh my gosh, I can't think of what the technique is. But anyway, you'll see it as we get started. So let's do that. Let's just bring my desktop forward. Here we go. Okay, and I'm just going to pull a light, so try and get rid of some of the shadows. Shadows are a huge issue for demonstrators doing these live videos. All right, so here's the catalog here, and I'm working on page 48 and 49. So this bundle, I think, is going to be a little overlooked. People might look at it and, I don't know, not wanting to get involved in doing masking. So this uses a technique called masking, and we're going to be using blending. That's the word I was looking for, blending. We're going to be doing some ink blending tonight with these blending brushes. And then here's the stamp set itself, and I'll just show it to you physically so you can see it. It's bigger. It's called Link Together. I kind of like the greetings on here because it's like a sentiment builder, because you can say, wishing you a happy day, wishing you the best, wishing you a lifetime of love. Then you can do, oh, so happy for you. And then you've got a simple and joy. So wishing you joy, you could say, wishing you the best joy. So yeah, it's kind of a builder. And so it's got two different font styles to it. And it's a photopolymer stamp set, so it makes easy positioning on your card, so you can see exactly where to position that. Okay, so we're going to be working with this. I've already got the word enjoy on an acrylic block, and then we're going to do enjoy a happy day, because I want to make this a birthday card. Okay, so that's the stamp set, and then it comes with a set of dies. And I love die. I love a trellis. I love kind of garden theme, floral themed cards. So this was attractive to me because, well, number one is we used to have oval dies for greetings, and they retired. So this gives you a nice, beautiful stitched oval. Then I love, there's two sets of flowers here. So this cuts out 4 at a time and 2 at a time, and you can layer them. Then you've got some lovely vines. Typically when you have the trellis, you can have the vines going up the trellis. So those are the dies. So these dies are standalone dies, meaning that they don't coordinate with a stamped image. So we're not cutting out any of these. We're going to be doing some fussy cutting tonight for the actual greeting. Okay. And then it also comes with a set of decorative masks. We have had some coordination in the last couple of years with decorative masks to go with the whole stamp bundle theme. And this is what they look like. So we've got, and I brought out a cloth because once you've finished putting ink on here, you'll want to wipe it off. But they are numbered. So if you have to turn it to the light, there's number 1, there's a 2, a 3, a 4, and a 5. So it allows you to layer, and you can do any layering you want. 1 doesn't necessarily go with 2 or 2 with 3, etc. You can layer 1 on top of 5 or whatever you want. You just have to play and experiment with them. Tonight we're going to be using 2 of them. We're going to be using number 4 and number 5. Okay. So that's what these are. So I'm just going to use this little cloth so that you can see the pattern here. So it's kind of a geometric looking pattern. So we're going to use this one first. And the ink color we're using is a Lost Lagoon. Oh, I got ink on the cover there. Lost Lagoon we're going to use. And for the greeting, we're going to use this color, Pumpkin Pie. So again, I wouldn't think really to put these 2 colors together, but there you go. They are together and they're going to look great. Okay, and then this is the other one. And so basically what we're going to do is we're going to use the Lost Lagoon to blend over the color on a Lost Lagoon panel. Okay, and then we are going to use a Lost Lagoon card base. We're going to sponge a pattern on top with this pattern, and then we're going to put this one on top. Once we've sponged this, we're going to put this one on top, and we're going to sponge it with, I keep saying sponging, because you could use a sponge dauber instead of a blending brush, so you have an option. And then we're going to do the white on top. So this is, I did one earlier this afternoon just to show you. This is the end result. Okay, so this is the Lost Lagoon piece of paper, and then I did the Lost Lagoon, so you can see the pattern there. And then I laid the white template on top, and I actually used a sponge dauber, and I kind of mushed in the white ink through the little holes on that template. So we're going to repeat that tonight. Now, I decided to use a size. Because if you look at the picture, which I should show you in the catalog, so this is the project that I'm going to be doing tonight. So I'm going to use a panel. This may have looked like it was sponged directly on the card base, but I would rather do it on a separate piece of paper. So I'm going to cut this panel to 3.5 by 5. So that's the measurement for that. And then we're going to use this die here to cut out. I'm using basic beige cardstock. So I've got these 2 pieces cut out. And we're going to cut one of them in half. And then one of them is going to stay the original shape. And then I've already cut out the flowers. And then I just have to stamp and then fussy cut out the greeting. So that's the project for tonight. Okay. So I've got my card base. It's a half sheet of regular 8.5 by 11 cardstock. So I've got that ready to go. And then this piece I measured this to 3 and 3/4 by 5, 3 3/4 by 5. Okay. So I'm going to cut another piece from here. So 3 3/4 by 5. Let me just trim that down, because that'll give us kind of a wider border on our card. So 3 and 3 3/4 right here by 5. Okay. So this is what we're going to ink up. Now, If you have repositional tape, I bought a repositional tape from, this I actually got at Staples. This is repositional tape. So what I'm going to do is just put a bit of tape on the back and stick it down to my grid sheet here. And I'm going to be using this as my ink. What am I trying to say? It's my inking background, so to speak, so I can ink off. So basically, when you use blending brush, you pick up the ink on the ink pad. Now, when you use blending brushes, be aware that it pulls up a lot of ink from the ink pad. So you will need re-inkers to re-ink this. Doing blending techniques does use a lot of ink, so you will need a re-inker to re-ink the pad up. So normally when you pick up the ink with the brush, you don't just stick it on the cardstock and then start blending, which is basically rubbing the brush over the cardstock, because it'll leave a big blotch in the middle. So what you want to do is you want to just, start off and just go like that and then go on to the project. Okay. But before we do that, we need to tape down the design. So I'm going to use some tape to hold this down. I'm just positioning it on the piece of paper. It's actually the perfect size. Okay, and I've got this tape here. This is the tape that I use to hold down my dies when I'm die cutting. I love this tape. Sadly, Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell this tape. I get this off scrapbook.com. So you just want to tape down your stencil so that it doesn't move around, and by putting the repositional tape on the back of the cardstock, it's not going to move around either. Okay, so now I'm going to start, picking up my ink, and I'm going to just start to drag my brush, and I'm just using circles. You could rub back and forth as well. It's just, however you want to do it. And this takes quite a bit of time, so you want to be prepared to spend time doing this kind of, when you use masks, it does take time to transfer the ink over. Now, you can apply as much or as little ink as you want. Blending, ink blending is used to make beautiful backgrounds. For example, you could take 3 different colors. You could start off with green at the bottom and blend up for grass. Then you could do a bit of maybe pumpkin pie or yellow in the middle, and then blue at the top, and you blend them so that they don't have really any lines in them. They just blend beautifully together. So I'm just consistently circling around and adding my ink. Now, the other ink I'm going to use is our white craft ink. It's a different formula than our regular ink pads. Our regular ink pads are water-based ink pads, and they dry fairly quickly. The basic white ink pad is what they call a pigment ink. It's a stickier ink and often used for embossing. Pigment inks in the early days when I first started getting involved in stamping, I had a set of pigment inks in different colors that I could then put clear embossing powder over to give it a glossy look. But Stampin' Up! Just basically uses water-based inks. which are great. And then they have the one basic white, which is a pigment ink. So what that means is that a pigment ink takes a long time to dry. So you can't really do this and then put the card together right away after I add the white. So I'm doing this now so that we can set it aside. And then normally I would, do all my die cutting and my stamping. So I've already done a lot of the die cutting just to save time, but we'll do the stamping of the greeting and fussy cut it out. And hopefully by that time, the white will have dried. And if not, I can use my heat tool to heat it up, or I will just pull in this piece that I did earlier. Okay, because that's nice and dry. All right, so I think that looks really good. So what you can do then, if you want to see what it looks like, just, remove your tape and lift up the stencil to take a look underneath to see what it looks like. And that's looking really good. Really good. Okay. So another idea is that you could make an ombre kind of a look where it's really dark at the top, it's a little bit lighter in the middle, and then it's really light at the bottom. Okay, so we're done with this stencil. So this will easily, you can use a baby wipe to clean it up, or you can run it under cold water to clean it up. So I'm just going to set that aside. Or like I have this cloth here, so I could just use this cloth just to wipe it up. Okay. Easy to clean. Okay, so the next step now is to take this other stencil and I'm going to line this up. Now, I'm going to line it up on my card. And you can position it really anywhere you want. It doesn't really matter. But what I'm looking at are these big arrows here. And I want to position the kind of, I'm calling it a snowflake, on top of that. Okay, so I want to go, so I'm lining up this top line to the very top of that card over those triangles at the top. Okay, so just take your time and position it where you want. Okay, and then again, I'm just going to, tape it down like that. Okay, so we're finished with Lost Lagoon here. And the next thing I'm going to do is bring in, now this is an old Whisper White. We used to call our white Whisper White. It's now called Basic White. This is really, really old. And to be honest, I don't use white very often, but white, so if this technique inspires you to get the white, there's another technique called bokeh blending, which creates those spotlights. When you look at photography pictures that have been taken at night and you kind of see these circles of light, that's called bokeh. And it's really a cool technique. Well, you can do that on cardstock too. So that's another technique you can use using the white. Now, I re-inked this with the same ink, Whisper White. So this is really, really old ink. And I think it's time for a new pad and new ink because this is almost dried up. It was really kind of goopy and gooey. But I've re-inked it up and hopefully that's going to be okay. Now, I have a bit of an issue with using my beautiful blending brushes with this ink because remember I said it's a different formula and it's really, really sticky. And I don't know how well it will wash off these blending brushes. Whereas our normal inks are water-based, these clean up. As a matter of fact, I never wash them. When I'm done with it or before I start a new project, I just rub it on, some scrap paper and I keep rubbing it until there's no more ink on it. Now it does stain the brush, fair enough, but I just keep moving it along on the paper until there's no more color coming out of it and then I can reuse it. So a lot of people only bought one set of blending brushes and use them for all colors. But if you're a bit concerned about ink transfer or you don't have time to clean them like this, then you could buy yourself 2 sets. I basically have the one set, and I just use them for the main colors, right? Red, blue, green. So that's basically all I do. So I want to show you, we also sell daubers. And these are great for adding color to the edges of your cardstock. I love daubers. And you also may want daubers to do the bokeh technique as well. Okay, so now I'm just going to dab this into my ink pad. And I'm just going to, oh, see, it did re-ink up very well. Oh my goodness. I didn't think it would do a good job. But I'm just going to pounce this white ink. I'm going to do a bit of a twisting effect and get it right into, because you want the ink to go through those snowflakes. We're not making a winter card, but they kind of remind me of snowflakes. We're just going to, so you could kind of, I think going in circles works really well. And a little bit of ink does go a long way. I wouldn't say I'd want to make, 20 cards with this technique. I just made 60 cards. My nephew and his girlfriend are having a baby, and they asked me if I would make their baby shower cards, and I was thrilled that they asked me. So I've just done 60 cards. So I chose a fairly simple, I did die cut a few things on it, but I've made 60 cards. But I wouldn't want to do this technique for 60 cards. So personally, I think sponging using these daubers works a bit better than a brush for these small, tiny holes. And I shouldn't have said that. It's mostly, I just don't want to use the sticky ink on my blending brushes is why I'm saying that. Instead of using white, if I chose to use a darker color like Pretty Peacock, so the base is Lost Lagoon, and the dots could end up, or the snowflakes could end up being Pretty Peacock, then you've got 2 different shades. So masking is really meant for multiple colored backgrounds. Same shade, dark, light colors, for example. All right, so that's done. Somebody's just joined. Carolyn. Hi, Carolyn. How are you? Okay, so I'm going to lift this. So this mask now is really yucky with pigment ink. So I will take that to my kitchen sink and wash that. You might need a bit of soap for pigment ink. Okay, so we're done with that. So those are your masks. And I'm eager to play with the rest of them. So look at all the different designs. So the idea behind masks is that you can combine them. So this mask would create a very wide border. And then if you put mask then on top of this one, it would give you a skinnier border, right? In a different color. So you have to kind of play with them to see the different techniques or different designs you can create is what I'm saying. All right, so this one I'm going to set aside because it has to dry while I stamp the greeting. And if it doesn't quite dry, I will use my heat tool, or like I said earlier, I'll just use the one I made earlier today. Okay. All right, so the next thing is we have our card base, and that layer is going to go on top. And I'm going to do this is peach pie. I'm going to get some white cardstock here. I'm just using up scraps that are in my desk, so I'm going to stamp the word enjoy. Now, I haven't used a stamp set before. Now, with photopolymer, I've explained this before, is that when you first ink them up, you watch and you may see the ink sort of pooling on the stamp. And that's because when photopolymer stamps are created, I think there's a bit of a coating on top of them. So what I do to condition them is I just stamp them and just rub them just to sort of get that conditioning, whatever it is, on them. Get it to take, to remove it. So then when you stamp it, it's not pooling as much. All right, so let's see how that turns out. That's pretty good. Enjoy. And I'm going to fussy cut that out, and then I'm going to do a lifetime of love. And let's see, will it fit on this strip here? Oh no, I'm doing Oh Happy Day. So again, let's condition this one. So let me just lean it. Whoa, that was close. I'm going to put that right onto my ink pad. So I'm getting smart now, and I'm keeping my cleaning pad in a plastic bag overnight so it doesn't dry out. I'm constantly running to the kitchen sink to re-wet them. Okay, so let's do this one. So we're going to say enjoy a happy day. Oops, that didn't stamp well at all. Okay. Let's turn the paper over. Oh, what's happening here? Something is happening. What is happening? I keep all my scraps because they're great for greetings. There we go. That's better. Okay. Now you don't have to fussy cut these. You could just cut them into a rectangle shape. But I don't mind fussy cutting, and I think they give you a really nice greeting. They add some interest to the greeting. So for those that don't know about fussy cutting, the key is to not move your scissors per se, but to move the paper. You see how I'm moving the paper? I'm moving the paper, and the scissors just will end up gliding around. It does take some practice, I will admit. So you round and round and twist the paper. Let's pick up that dot for the J, and we'll come up. And we'll go around like that. Okay, see, look how interesting that looks when you fussy cut a greeting. Okay, now the other key is to get rid of the bulk of the paper around it. You don't want too much bulk. Okay, so I'm going to go around and around. Around. You just dip into the words or the letters wherever you want. You don't have to dip into every swoop of a letter. You see by bulk what I'm talking about? You want to get rid of that because it hampers your ability to cut. Okay, and there's the other, enjoy a happy day. Okay, so we've got that done. Now, for our flowers, we're going to layer these. Now, this might be a bit of a challenge because they've got a hole in the middle. Don't know why they put a hole in the middle. Because without a hole, you could still put a gem on, but it's going to be a little bit more challenging to glue these together. So I'm going to get my tweezers. I love to work with tweezers. And I guess I'm going to put a little bit of ink, probably just in the center here. I think my bottle, oh, there we go. My bottle's almost empty again. Okay, and then I'm going to skew this a little bit. This, of course, is screaming for a gemstone in the center. So there's one. And we're going to do another one. Come on. Oh. So there's two. And then we have one more to go. Oops, that's upside down. You can really see, if you look closely, you can see that die cuts have a top and a bottom to them. Okay, so we've got our three little flowers, and all right, now I cut this out of basic beige. Now I'm using the colors true to the colors in the picture. Okay, so what they did was they took one and they cut it in half. So I'm going to use my paper trimmer. And I'm going to cut one of these in half. Now, the key to, you're going to line up the points in the track, but it's kind of dangerous to cut into the point because it could wrinkle up the paper. If your blade is not over, if it's getting dull, it could not cut very well. So when I'm going point to point like this, I move my cutting blade onto the cardstock itself, and then I go up and then I go down. Just make sure you hold it really, really tight. Okay, so now we've got our 2 pieces here. Okay, so let's check out the one I made tonight with you guys. And yeah, it's still a little bit wet. Okay, so I'm just going to use that on a different project and pull this one in. All right, so here's our card base. All right, and then we're going to simply, adhere this to the card base because there's no ribbon, nothing wrapping around it. So I'm going to take my, this bottle seems to be empty. Key tip, you must have more than one glue source on your desk. That is a key crafting tip. You can't just have one. Plus, they kind of go walkies. So I'm always looking for a glue because I've thrown it somewhere else on my desk. So you need to be able to reach for another source. All right, so there's my card base with our decorative element on top. And then we're going to put one of these. Now, this is easy because they're positioned right at the top of that panel. And it's easy to line up and keep it straight just because of the design underneath it. So we're going to put one at the top and we're going to put one at the bottom, like so. And make sure, these ends are even. And then this one is going to go on top like that. Isn't that cool? So this is going to go on top. And then everything else is on dimensionals. Okay. So I'm going to, I keep reaching for my glue and it's not working. So I will use, see, look at that. Oh no, I put it back. See, that's, even when I put it back in the right place, I can lose it. So we'll just put a little triangle of tape runner on here. And I'm going to center that right at the top. And I'm looking side to side. Okay, so that's one. And this is the other one. And this one's going to go right on top. There we go. All right, and now we have to put our dimensionals. Now, I'm going to use probably my mini dimensionals. I just started a new pack. And I'm going to grab my poker tool. And let's just put these on the back. And on the enjoy. Make sure on your greetings you put one in the middle so it doesn't sag. All right. So we're doing so Enjoy is sort of in the middle. And then A Lifetime of Love is going to come under here, like so. Or I'm saying A Happy Day. And then I'm going to use a dimensional for the flowers. And I think I will need some kind of gem in the middle. Mind you, the dimensional in the middle will give it a white center. So we might not need a gemstone. Although in my opinion, when do you not need a gemstone? My goodness. Okay. Yeah, it's giving it a white center. All right, so this one is tucked a little bit underneath the E for Enjoy. And then this one is right on the center here. So I'm going to put one under, one on top, just for visual interest. And then the last one is down here. Okay, look at that. All right, now the last thing, I am going to look for some gems. Now I just bought, I'm just going to grab, I just got some new gemstones out of the catalog, and there's some with some yellow in here. These are in this catalog. They're called Party Dots. And I love the colors. You've got a pink and you've got, this looks like Coastal Cabana or maybe Pool Party. This could be pretty in pink. And then you've got a beautiful peach. So the peach would match the greeting. So it's not on our design in the catalog, but that's what casing is all about. You can, now start to embellish and do whatever you want. Whoops. How come that's unscrewed? Oh, yes, I was using my brush before. Okay. So I'm going to use the smallest. I just push them off and put them on. Push and put them on. Push and put them on. Now I have noticed, when you're using some of your older embellishments, they don't quite push off. They do get quite stuck on that card. So I then use my pokey tool to take them off. When they're new, they slide off quite nicely with your take your pick tool. So there you go, ladies. There's the card for tonight. I'm really happy with the way that turned out, and I do love that masking technique. I'm going to have to do some more of that. So I have since put a new basic white stamp pad. Now, one other thing, the basic white, the new pad comes uninked, and it will come with a white inker, okay? So you have to ink it up yourself. If you look online, there's lots of videos to show you how to ink it up. So you can use the back of a spoon, or if you have an old bone folder, see this one I've been using for re-inking. It does stain it. The white won't, and then you just drop a whole bunch of drops all over the ink pad, and then you smush it in, and you might have to re-ink it several times because it's going to be a brand new pad. Okay. So that is your blending with masks. Looks very dimensional. I know, it's really cool, isn't it? I love this, the whole kind of angular, it's kind of different. I really like it. Geometric. This is a great kind of stamp set for a masculine cards, these backgrounds that you can make. Yeah. So thanks, ladies, for joining me. Let's just pop my face back up here so I can say goodbye. Yes, thank you so much for joining me. Have a wonderful end of your week and a wonderful weekend, and I will see you back on Monday for another card template. I hope you've been enjoying the card templates. I think they're kind of fun. And I did get a couple of new things, so I'm sure I'll find something interesting to do. So thanks so much for joining, and yeah, see you Monday, maybe. Bye.